Hey guys, welcome back to World End Economica, and welcome back to the listless evening. What was Lisa going to do after this? What was going to be done was already decided. Without a doubt she was going to sell those books. The answer was decided from the beginning. All that was left was a question of when she'd commit to it. Since it was someone else's affair, I could say it like that. I was aware of this. That's why I had no surprise that Lisa in the bathroom started crying. I'd heard from more friends in my hometown that seaside or in the bathroom was a suitable place for an adult to cry. Was there a good resolution to all of this? Probably not, I suppose. If there was, then it would have been definitely carried out already. Otherwise, there was no real reason to suffer a slow death, paying interest every month. Paying off a principal would eventually pay off a loan, but if one simply paid the interest, then the loan would never go away. Any grade schooler knew that. However, at least I had trouble paying the interest. I had to step in the end. Although she had no choice but to rely on the final option. Lisa had to sell a part of her. It was better than Hagana selling off her entire body. That's probably how she convinced Hagana, I'd imagine. Much like Earth, the moon was also a place where only the strongest survived. On the moon, they were able to take place that didn't have any signs of life and forcibly build a city on the surface, so there really wasn't any allowance for doing anything half-heartedly. Space was cold and dark. I wonder if Hagana was crying. Perhaps she was. She was probably blaming herself. If I were in their shoes, it would definitely be quite painful. Lisa was a good person, but made it all the more painful. Chiyama had said that Hagana didn't care about Lisa, just because she'd given her shelter. I had a feeling about that as well. If it was concerning anyone else in Lunar City that was as loony as Lisa, I wouldn't care as much. 50,000 moors. I mouthed that amount of money once more. 50,000 moors? While staring at recording code from this thing, I wanted to curse of God if he existed. 50,000 moors. How much money did I have? Before Lisa came out of the bath, I went back to my own room and turned on my laptop. On the screen, the trading window was open. Cash balance, 72,610 moors. For someone working in a top company in West Lunar City, it might have been peanuts, but for everyone else, it was a fair sum of money. I had built this up from a 2,000 moors in hand originally. Every day until night, concentrating without eating or drinking, literally building it up with a dogged determination. Taking about 50,000 moors would leave about 22,000. Those numbers made me want to throw up. When I didn't even want to spend a few dozen moors, was it any need for me to give 50,000 moors to someone else's sake? Just what did Lisa mean to me? Of course, I owed her for saving me from the police, but that was it. Even though I'm living here, I'm properly paying for that right. So even though Lisa really was in trouble, there's absolutely no reason why I'd had a part with her own money. On top of that, Lisa had a way of paying back the debt. Sell the old books in a room. That'd be all it would took. Despite this all, I couldn't shake my mental image of Lisa being that exhausted. The first time I learned that watching someone have to part with something truly dear to them could be physically painful to a watcher themselves. And that was why I stared at a laptop screen, unable to move. In my hand was a way to rescue Lisa from her plight. Furthermore, I even had a reason to give it to her. She had said that after selling those books, she would never be able to get hands on them again. In my case, that wasn't true. My investment methods were truly great. They'd bring me results befitting my dreams, and giving away 50,000 moors wouldn't be a bit of a problem. Just go remaining moors like crazy. A few years later, 50,000 moors would be merely something to sneeze at. With 2,000 moors I grew it 35 times to 70,000 more in 3 months. If I had faith in the correctness of my ways, then I shouldn't be feeling the hesitation at handing over 50,000 moors. That means the thing making me hesitate was either wretched stinginess or a lack of faith in my investment methods. I was supposed to have decided that if I couldn't fulfill my dreams, there'd be no point in me living. And yet, even though I was on the verge of declaring that I could not fulfill my dreams, I was losing my nerve. If I couldn't just casually pop off at 50,000 moors, then it'd be all a lie. I'll be a liar. In front of a laptop, I tightened my hands into fists. I ground my teeth just how pathetic I was. It was enough to make me want to cry. Are you really that small a person? Some punk only knows how to pick up pennies? I berated myself for those insults. I looked up and looked listlessly around the room, so much that you'd think the right answer was hidden somewhere in there. No. I knew what the right answer was, and I just didn't have the guts to take the plunge. And then, when my line of sight fell on the divider between this room and the next, I recalled Hagana. Hagana had the courage to take the plunge. She had the courage to say, "Buy me." Moreover, saying it not like someone self-centered brat, but as someone who had really been sold from Earth. Someone who knew exactly what it meant to be sold. She had the courage to step into that hell once more. But Lisa would never accept that. Hagana probably really felt that if Lisa could be saved, and whatever happened to Hagana herself, was acceptable. I thought, compared to Hagana's troubles, my dilemma was a luxury. I recalled the exchange we had of a living room when I had thought about making feasts with her. We are all doing what we can to survive. Hagana's words struck at me once more in the chest. While I was doing that, all I could do to survive? Was I doing those things to limit my abilities? That was the moment. That was when I remembered the investment contest. Prize money. Dashing to the Economic Research Centre's homepage, I logged in and looked at the summary. For top-ranking people, there were prizes. First got 200,000 moles, second got 50, and third got 30, while fourth and fifth each got 20. Getting second would be wonderful, and even third would be a great help. But what moved my heart was the investment contest itself. Even if I lost at the contest, it wouldn't affect my wealth. The contest was like a free lottery. On top of that, there was an important thing, a very important thing. I once again looked up and turned around. A wall was there, dividing this room from the next. Past that, Hagana was surely crying. She must be there, blaming herself and crying over how she couldn't do anything for her beloved Lisa. Hagana, who clumsily bumbled her way through haggling, was a way of thanking me. When I told her how haggling stunk, she was so angry and she practically kicked my leg off and cried. So that must have been her base personality. But now that I've thought about it, she might not have any room to breathe. For example, even if she could teach kids math, she wasn't helping them to advance to better schools in any real sense. She wasn't able to change the economic circumstances surrounding them. Hagana had probably been thrown around by conditions like that, brought up to the moon, and wound up at Lisa's place after running away. Apparently maths could solve problems well elegantly. However, Hagana came here without solving a single real world problem. In Toyama's way of saying things, like a chick that hadn't even broken out of its shell. With respect to Hagana, the investment contest was a big opportunity. Hagana would be a help to Lisa, and I would be able to clear Hagana's misunderstanding. Plus, if it all went well, then I'd be happy. I grabbed a laptop, flew out my room, and headed to the living room. The living room returned to silence, and Lisa wasn't around. Immediately turning around and running down the hall, I headed up the steep stairs to the second floor. Along the way, I saw the light on Lisa's room. Without hesitation and without knocking, I opened the door to Lisa's room. I suppose Lisa turned around. She was in the middle of taking a few books off a shelf. Her hair was still damp and her eyes red and puffy. She looked like a girl lost away on a rainy day. I didn't want to see Lisa with such a face. That's why I opened my laptop and shoved the screen into Lisa's face. Huh? Bears away. Lisa sniffled like a kid. I want you to convince Hagana. Huh? I want to borrow her talents. I explained everything to Lisa. 10 minutes later, both of us were knocking on Hagana's door. Even when we knocked, Hagana didn't come out. Hagana, are you awake? Lisa asked in a small voice. If she had exhausted herself from crying and fell asleep, we could just wait until morning. Whatever painful things may happen, things always become more manageable if we could get past the dark night. By that logic, she would be calmer tomorrow, and broaching the subject to her then would have been easy. That's what I was thinking, but after Lisa knocked on the door, she called out. She put her ear on the door softly. At the moment, her expression changed. As if she had heard a horrifying, revolting sound, like the scraping of metal on metal. Before I could ask, Lisa put a hand on the doorknob and turned it slowly. She opened the door quietly, as if something in the room would be damaged or the slightest shock. The door slowly opened, and the light from the hallway flowed into a dark room. Lisa opened the door, but didn't try to enter the room immediately. I thought it was odd, but quickly saw a reason. Hagana's room was even barer than one I rendered out. It was completely dark. But in that dark room was a place where the darkness was even deeper. What the light fell upon was blackness. A black darker than darkness. A sight to which I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think. A sickening taste filled my mouth. In a corner of the room, Hagana was hugging her knees and crying. Hagana. When Lisa finally called her name, Hagana's body shook like an absolutely terrified child. Hagana, I have something to talk about. There was no further reaction to Lisa's words. It seems like she was trying to shrink her into her already slender body down even more, hugging her knees and desperately burying her face in them. From the looks of it, instead of crying out of sadness, it seemed more like she was crying out of anger. Squeezed down, shrinking even more, if only it didn't exist in the first place. That was the kind of anger I felt from her. Hagana! Lisa spoke softly and stepped forward. It wasn't a big room, so she was already in front of Hagana in a moment. Her body quivered, and then changed position. I'd thought it was impossible to get any smaller, but she pulled her feet in tightly, pulled her head down even more, and moved her arms from her knees to cover her head. So... Huh? I'm so... Hagana was shaking so much I could see it all the way down from the door. Lisa's profile hardened, harder than if he shouted any insult in the world at her. Lisa was furious. But she wasn't angry at Hagana. Just by looking at Hagana, I could understand in a way. She was in a corner of a dark room, protecting her head, visibly shaking. No matter how angry Lisa was, Hagana should have known there was no need to be this afraid. Even Chris, of all people, probably hadn't been this terrified. Hagana had lived a life where she'd had to tremble in the corner, protecting her head, as if she made any sort of mistake. Hagana hadn't raised her head and didn't seem to realise that the person in front of her was Lisa. She simply continued to apologise desperately, but words wouldn't come out. What Lisa was probably angry at was the rain of misfortune would have come down upon Hagana. Lisa crouched down in front of a terrified Hagana. Sensing that, Hagana flinched back. Even though there was nowhere left to retreat, she pulled back. Lisa gently grasped Hagana's thin wrists, then wrapped her hands around her shaking fingers. Hagana, it's okay. It's alright. Gently putting her head against Hagana's, Lisa whispered over and over again. Seems like each time Hagana said that she was sorry, Lisa would say that it was alright. Calm down. She murmured softly into Hagana's ear. Somehow, she even seemed to be smiling in enjoyment. Hagana was making sobbing sounds. Lisa didn't rush. Eventually, Hagana's small head moved. Her teary eyes peered through her dishevelled hair. Hagana, do you know who I am? She asked. Hagana stared at Lisa with a teary, exhausted face. Eventually, with fresh tears overflowing in her eyes, she nodded slowly. That's a good girl. Saying that, Lisa embraced Hagana's head. I'm sorry. Hagana repeated herself again, but not in a childlike way she had before. It was a clearer, more well-defined thing. Okay, Hagana. To be honest, your elbow really hurt. A bruise on Lisa's face was apparently from Hagana's elbow. She must have struck with quite a bit of force. But it was something like an accident. I'm not angry. But it's true I didn't approve of going to Mr. Tiyama without thinking about the consequences, along with what you did there. She fell silent, but it was different from when she had been terrified. While she was in Lisa's arms, the fact that Hagana wanted to make an excuse was apparent to even me. Thanks to the situation, even Lisa smiled wryly as she held Hagana. That was something you did for me, wasn't it? She asked once again as she embraced Hagana. The darkly dressed small girl in Lisa's arms nodded repeatedly like a heartbeat. Those feelings make me happy. Very much so. She looked up and met Lisa's gaze full on with a smile. She calmed down for the most part, but now once again burst into tears. Lisa cradled her head gently against her chest. Hagana, how's Bobador if you cry too much is going to notice? I saw her shrink down in Lisa's arms. You used me for that? I glared at Lisa, but she only winked out at me through the corner of her eye. Unable to object, I hid myself by the side of the door. And also, Hal's got a few things he wants to talk to you about. Huh? Huh? You shouldn't say that. I couldn't hear it, but apparently Lisa heard something. Probably something like she had nothing to say to me anyway. I bet you said terrible things about Hal. He really was hurt by that. While explaining the investment contest and the possibility of using Hagana's talent in math, I also told her the whole story. She thought it was something worthless punk who never worked and stole money from houses. But this plan wouldn't even stand up, not to mention my pride. However, I was silently cheering on Lisa to say more. Hagana should learn the words that couldn't hurt other people. Plus, I heard that all that was misunderstanding on your part. Lies. That word I could clearly hear. Right after, I heard Lisa laughing lightly. Hagana, you're surprisingly childish, you know that. Lisa was very good at jabbing a person's pride. Just maybe, I might not have to sell my books. We'll see how Hagana reacts to that and what she thinks of a plan. Next time. Bye bye.